Hey everybody, it's Dr. William Clark here for Leadership Conversations. This is the show where we talk about leadership according to the world that matters to you. And I, on a number of occasions during this podcast, have talked about the important leadership element and quality of setting the cultural standard within your organization. And culture is the way an organization does things, why it does what it does, when it does what it does, and consistently lives by those principles and values, regardless of what may be happening, what other opportunities may present itself, etc. And, over my years of observing organizational behavior and culture, and watching various leaders handle a variety of circumstances that have arisen in their organization, it has become extremely clear that one of the consistent elements that matters most when it comes to leadership growth and development and longevity within an organization is the ability of an organization and its leaders to establish a culture that can sustain and last in spite of chaos that will ensue in your organization, in spite of unforeseen challenges that will pop up in your business, in spite of acts of betrayal that will occur over the course of you dealing with people. And these changes and challenges and issues that are arising out of doing business, running a nonprofit, serving people, hiring folks, putting them on your payroll. The issues that arise out of that are designed to build you up and make you stronger. They are designed seriously, to seriously make you a better person, better leader, better business owner, better board member, better employee, better team member, etc. These things are designed to elevate you and grow you. I have no doubt about it. But when you don't have a culture internally that is able to handle and sustain and withstand what is going to come your way, it makes it harder to navigate. It makes it harder to navigate through those tough times and feel like we're still going to make it. It makes it harder to navigate those issues and still feel like we're good. It makes it harder to confront these issues and feel like I'm confident in our ability to get to the other side. And look, don't get me wrong. Developing culture takes time. It takes intentionality on the part of the leader. It takes effort. It takes repetitive behavior and language and not giving up in spite of people not being sold out for what you're trying to build. It takes all of that. And when you put in that time, when you put in that effort to build a culture, it means something. It means something when that culture is established and your team has embraced that culture and is now behaving according to what the culture says should happen when moments pop up that are unconventional and unforeseen. The culture should be a default behavior, a default way of thinking for everybody on the team. So when things hit the fan and your back is against the wall, the default action is to do what? What is the default behavior you have espoused and championed in your organization? What is the default expectation you have set for your team that they should follow when things go wrong or when things go south? What is it? If you don't know, then the culture has not been set within your organization. If you know but your team doesn't know, then the culture has not been set within your organization. It must be established. It must be a reality. It must be a known quantity that this is how we function in good times and in bad times and in times in between. This is how we interact with each other. This is how we interact with our customers. This is how we interact with our stakeholders. This is how we interact with everyone. And this is how we handle situations, good, bad, or indifferent, period. Period. This is our standard. The culture means everything. If your organization, your team, your project is devoid of culture, a culture that is intentionally developed, let me just say, if it's devoid of an intentionally developed culture, then you will go through moments in your business, in the life cycle of a program, project, or organization and say, you know what? I quit. I give up. This is not for me. And you may have a point. You may be right that this is just a bad situation. And then there's the flip side that says maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's the fact that you didn't have systems, culture in place, leadership was absent, devoid, or weak at best. At best. At the end of the day, you got to be intentional about culture. You may have to repeat yourself 1 million times before people start to get it. And even then, they still might not get it. You have to be committed. You have to be committed to developing that culture like your life depends upon it. People will test you, try you, forget, ignore you, etc. And you have to be steadfast and solid on the fact that nope, in spite of what you're saying, doing, etc., I am going to stand on this belief system that this is how we will function. This is our identity. These are our values. This is what we stand for. When you have that, you can make sound business decisions. When you have that, a culture when you have a culture, you can make sound hiring decisions. When you have a strong, intentional culture, you're able to determine who you want to work with, not work with, who you want to partner with, not partner with, etc. When you have a culture, you can make sound decisions about a lot of things. You can make sound decisions about what grants to go after, what clients you want to serve. You're able to have clarity about your competency and skill sets. You're able to have clarity about who you are as a company, as an organization, and how individuals, if I'm talking individuals now, how you as an individual, how you fit into that culture at large, whether you're the CEO, vice president, etc. Culture is everything. Culture is a lifeblood of your organization. If it's absent, if it's gone, if it's devoid, if it's missing, no matter what you pursue, no matter what opportunities you chase after, it will not last. Even if you're able to grab it, it won't last. It won't sustain. Your success won't be legitimate. Your success won't last into next year, or it won't be a legacy success at all. It will be just temporary moments in time that result back into failure, or you being sucked into something that is devoid of fulfilling the standard of your culture. You run the risk of being sucked into things that take away from what you value and care about the most. Nonprofit, for-profit, solo enterprise, etc. Individual, your personal life. When there isn't a cultural standard, when there are no clear expectations, there's no stability in the house. None whatsoever. This is not one of those rah-rah podcasts. This is one of those podcasts where really, as a business owner, as a leader in your nonprofit, I hope that you are taking this in. It matters. It matters a ton. It matters a lot how you dictate culture, because your business depends upon it. Your stakeholders, your board, your staff, your success, your customers, your future, your tomorrow depends upon the culture you set. I challenge you to be intentional about setting your culture. I challenge you also to like and subscribe to this podcast. I challenge you to share this particular podcast with a business owner, an executive director, a CEO, an executive, a frontline staff, an emerging leader who has aspirations of launching or leading something. Without culture, whatever your aspirations are, it won't last. You got to have an intentional culture developed. This is Dr. William Clark for Leadership Conversations. We'll see you in the next show. Peace.